Welcome to the Marketing Intern Spotlight. A marketing intern is a listener who's spreading our message authentically. Hear their story, their passion, and their journey. Enjoy.
All right.
Do those.
You're going to have to cut wide to get those flowers in the middle.
Yes, we can absolutely do that.
We could also like take the bag off or something.
Is
It's just like
what's beneath the bag?
A garnet. What are the type of flowers?
It's not,
Mums.
These are mums. It's like this type of thing. Maybe this would be nicer. We'll just put some purple down for you.
Oh my gosh.
These aren't living more than a week. You guys going to water these things?
Yeah, we'll water.
What's the maintenance look like?
Does
Okay.
it need sunlight?
You can put it out on your porch and have it like a nice little welcome mum.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
And then this one will look good because you want to just make sure they're watered, and then otherwise there's still a lot of blooming to do. So.
Oh, okay, I see. So they're like kind of half bloom right now.
Yeah,
It's like the half life of the mums.
Exactly.
Nice. Where'd you get these?
Backpocket.
Awesome.
I was
Wow.
on a roll this afternoon.
Yeah. Okay. So you thought of us to get mums.
Yes.
So I kind of want to put the two dots together on that.
Backpocket and mums.
How does this work?
Well, I just figured I don't actually know you guys super well yet, and a bunch of college students could probably benefit from having a nice little fall decor flower outside. And I feel like having flowers outside your porch is a nice statement you make to the world. It kind of helps you leave your door every day being like, yeah, look at the I don't know, blooming special life
The
near us, and
flamboyancy, rather.
but it's not even like, I'd say it puts an element of thoughtfulness
Very
in
thoughtful.
it, and that kind of shows you have a certain type of intentionality. You like nurturing things.
Absolutely. I mean, the mums, we're pro mom podcast.
Yeah.
So I think that goes hand in hand.
That rings a bell.
What?
We're pro mom podcast.
Oh, there we go.
Very pro mom here.
And
Okay.
now we're pro mum as well.
Yes.
Pro mom. Yeah.
We just got to add it to our lengthy list of things we're about on this podcast.
For sure.
That's unreal. Well, Katie, welcome to the Back Pocket. How are
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for
Good.
coming over. You look fabulous. I'm
thank
excited to
you.
hear you talk. This is going to be nuts.
Yeah.
Are you excited?
Stoked. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, this is great. So just a little background for the listeners, the marketing interns rather. Katie came to us, Lincoln Drink 006. So was it just right after the panel? We were like kind of right by each other. And then all of a sudden it was like, yo, my name's Katie. But anyways, you're first date expert. You came in hot with that. And,
Yeah.
Andrew and I, not going to say that we're date guys at all. Like, I think we have gone on a total of like 2 combined dates this whole year.
The year of 2019. Yes.
I think we got 2 under our belt as a corp. So our eyes lit up as you were like, I'm the first date expert. I got all these tips and tricks for you guys. So this just made sense to have you on the podcast. So welcome.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Unreal.
Definitely.
So yeah, I guess I want to unpack, like, how did you get to this point? How did you get to be the expert in first dates?
Yeah.
It's unreal.
So I guess, okay, so it's under the umbrella of holistic life coaching.
Okay.
And that's my field, we'll say.
Yeah.
And so it's holistic life coaching. I specialize in modern dating, and I focus as a first date expert. And so as I've launched into my modern dating specialty, it's really become clear that this niche is so needed. And taking people from, we can talk about relationship problems all you want, and we can, everyone's talking about just like really intense, like, oh, trust issues or this and that's, like, well, all that's great stuff, but a lot of people can't even talk to a girl. And so what's the point of
This guy.
well, so much to talk about.
Yeah.
And so what's the point of, there's just a disconnect, really. And so everyone is really into talking about relationships and things like that, which is great. But you can't even think about talking about a relationship until you can truly build to that point where you're even having successful dates and putting yourself in a position to succeed.
Interesting. So how many dates did you go on before you were like, okay, I think I got this dating thing down. Like, now I can start telling people how to go on dates?
A lot.
A lot. Okay. So I think you said you had just kind of graduated college and then just started going on a ton of dates because you hadn't previously. Was that the way into it? I can't remember exactly.
Give or take a little bit. So I started dating someone in college.
Okay.
And we dated for almost 2 years and broke up because we were at the point where we're like, okay, we either get engaged or we don't. And fortunate, because that was the culture that we were in with college.
Where would you go to school?
It's called, it's a small school in Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah. And, but it's a very conservative school. And so that was very much the culture of that. And so there's a ton of pressure. And if you guys know small Christian schools much, it's very ring by spring and things like that. And so, oh yeah,
we went to St. Thomas.
It's not the same.
Very
though,
different type of culture.
Okay,
Yeah, this
but
is
I mean,
think like
it's a small
think like
school.
Northwestern and Crown and
What about
like
Bethel?
That.
Bethel's kind of
Bethel's
close.
definitely there.
Okay,
It's in the league for sure.
Do you know what she's talking about? Ring by spring?
Yes, like a ring in the spring of fall semester or spring semester.
Like getting engaged and
As you
stuff while in
graduate?
college. Yeah.
As you
With your
graduate,
significant other.
Yeah.
It's like an expectation.
Okay.
That's not what we did at St. Thomas at all.
This is not St.
Well, I
Thomas,
feel like
though.
there's some people like that. I mean, it wasn't like it was
Yeah.
irrelevant to that. I think that
true.
culture kind of had a little bit of it, but
Sure.
maybe not as much as I would assumed.
Yeah. Okay. I was just checking.
Mhm.
I was fact checking.
Thanks for
you, dude.
checking it out.
I just need to curb check this kid every once in a while. You know?
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
No, you're good. So we were dating and good guy. I just didn't know any better, and there were a lot of red flags kind of all throughout that I was like. Then near the end, sorry, I'm jumping around a little bit, but basically there were a lot of red flags. I just didn't know any better to take note of them because I was like, oh well, this is destiny. Like we're just gonna work out. And so when we broke up, I was just devastated and took a while to grieve. And then after that point, I was like, you know what? What happened? And it turns out I figured out I was kind of the victim to my own naivety, is what I like to say. So I just really didn't know any better, and I totally fell sucker to that. And so I was like, all right, no more. And I started learning. I've always loved psychology, things like that. And so I just decided to become a student of the game. And I was like, I'm going to learn as much as I can because he was my first boyfriend, my first real boyfriend. And it was just so... It's so fascinating. So I started reading books and all these things, and then I found dating apps, and then I just
all over the place.
ran with it and loved it. And I just started learning so much and learning the science behind it, the psychology behind it, the strategies, the things like that, and really have found to enjoy it. And then I've always kind of been a coach at heart, and I'm just naturally wired to be a coach throughout my life. So I've been coaching men for years. It just came to the point where I was like, all right, I'm giving you too good of stuff. Like we gotta streamline the process and start getting paid for this.
So when you started reading those first books and then you found something like, all right, I need to practice this, or I need to at least try this. What was it like trying to find that date then?
So much fun. So I love social experiments, you guys. And I went through these phases.
Is this a social experiment? A little bit.
I mean, it's not one, but
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, it kind of is, right? Like,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is just like a glorified frat house, and you got 3 dudes in here recording a podcast. It's pretty social. Very experimental, too. You brought in freaking mums. That's going to be an
Right.
experiment, a side experiment on itself.
yeah.
Mhm.
See if we have the wherewithal to take them downstairs and outside to where they need to be. It's unbelievable. I love it. You're all over
Thank you.
This is great.
So it's a good time, and I really enjoyed. And I want to be clear, I never used people. So I was always very honest and real. And throughout the journey there was a significant summer that I just went hard in the paint. Like it was awesome. I went on so many dates, but all of them I was genuine about. So I wasn't like super trying to play anyone. I was just checking things out, and it was really fun because I kind of learned how to embrace different parts of my personality, kind of be whoever I wanted to be. I went through this fake nose ring phase, no regrets,
What?
and it was just awesome. Where I didn't want to commit to necessarily like
Nose
a
ring?
real piercing
Okay.
yet, and it was awesome. No,
It was edgy.
it was totally edgy. And then, oh my gosh, I went through this fake tattoo phase. I'm partly still in it sometimes.
Okay.
It's awesome. And so there are different companies that do like temporary tattoos and stuff. Highly recommend. They're really
Were you
fun.
going full arm sleeve tattoo?
Yeah, I did freaking I had this floral like forearm sleeve,
Oh, my God.
and I wore this nose ring. And then I would do that, and then a week later I'd go and to wear just super conservative stuff and just totally take on a different persona depending on my audience of the day. It was so fun.
Are you serious? Wow. That's incredible. What was the market response?
It was so fun. Well,
Did you ever mix it up? Like you just went on a day with a conservative dude, but you're, dressed as a hippie?
Those were so fun. Or I just I know I have my secret really cool tattoos underneath. I just casually roll up my sleeve and we're in the middle of the conversation. They'll look like,
Oh, my
and oh, it's fine. It's cool. I'm cool with this. Yeah, it's fine.
No way. That's crazy, dude.
So it's fun to embrace. I recommend it.
So how many dates did you go on that summer?
that
ballparking.
summer itself, easily over 20
Okay.
first dates.
And were they through kind of mutual friends, found them at the bars on the side of the street, dating apps? How did you find all these people?
All of the above, a little
Really?
bit.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So some most dating apps, I would say. and I have strategies with why and stuff like that. But
Absolutely.
and then some were through friends, and some were kind of connections or just meeting them randomly and
Sweet.
things like that.
What'd you find was like your ideal date, or what kind of, did you do a bunch of different experiments in terms of what dates worked, and what were your findings?
100%. And that's why I think I'm so oddly passionate about odd things within the first date world, is because I just posted this really obnoxious rant recently about coffee dates. And
Saw that.
okay, what did you think of it? Can I just
I didn't see it. I saw the post. I did
didn't
not click on it yet.
Okay.
So I would actually like to hear what it was.
Okay, so go back to watch it. So basically, there's this epidemic of coffee dates in the world, and it's just this really misinformed norm that I don't think people realize how much it's sabotaging their dating and social lives.
Interesting.
In what ways is it just like hurting the way to build a relationship? I'm like, because you're sitting there having a conversation, it's stagnant to the sense of like there's no movement. And I remember you mentioning when we first met you how you got to get out and be active on your first date, and you want to keep it like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So what exactly about the coffee date is it just like this is wrong?
It's the fact that you have no common experiences yet, and there's no external entertainment, and so what you're doing is just grilling the other person basically, and you're interviewing them, and you're trying to assess based on your own formula in your head, and you're kind of judging them accordingly instead of, do I even like the person? And we assess, do I like the person through what are they telling me, what am I assessing about their lives and things like that, versus when you're just interacting in a casual environment, you're able to express other parts of your personality, body language, things like that. You can really assess, oh, are they likable? And you can't really get that at a coffee date, because here's one of the biggest things of why every coffee date I've been on sucked. And most people will say the same thing. And you'll have the few that are like, oh, but we sat and chatted for 8 hours and now we're married. Great, good for you. But typically that doesn't happen for a lot of reasons. And I have the story. So there was this guy that somehow sought me out and was like, yo, you seem really cool, let's go on a date. And I kind of creeped through him, and I was like, okay, yeah, like we're destined, this is perfect. He was like all the things that I kind of was just like I would be into.
He had the intangibles,
give or take. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he insisted on a coffee date, and I was like, no, like please, we can go for a walk, we can anything. And he was just like, oh well, he just like really insisted on it. And because some people do that thinking, oh well, and I'm curious if you guys would say the similar thing. It's like I grow attracted to people based like through conversation, and I don't. And so that's putting someone like me in a bad spot, because that might be how he thinks that he works. But for me, that's not really how, because you kind of have masculine and feminine energy. And so in a coffee house setting, I can be very professional. And it felt like we had a professional meeting. And it was so... I was so mad afterwards because it totally flopped and it sucked. And it was like we were trying to have fun with it, kind of. But if we would have done an activity that, honestly, almost any activity, because I feel like he and I would have really, really clicked, we would have had a great time and totally hit it off and then got to know each other more and more. Instead, we just got to know each other too much without any actual bonding taking place. So it totally flopped. So I was very salty. And that just added to the fire of my passion against coffee dates.
Yeah. So, I mean, going off that a little bit, like just looking into my own dumb brain for a second, like if I see a girl, I want to take her on a date or something, my bottom line, or like my normal first date would just be like go to dinner. And my reason and that's similar to coffee in a sense, but like my reason, it's like it's low risk. You like get to know who this person is outside of your preconceived notions, and like you can just have a conversation and really simplify the approach of like you're gonna leave that date after an hour or however long, and you're gonna know whether or not you vibe with that person. Whereas like when you're saying an activity like go on a walk or go putt-putting or bowling or whatever it is, like then it's more, you're almost more distracted by the activity rather than the person.
Let me ask a follow-up question. When you say you leave your hour of dinner knowing if you vibe with the person, do you really know that? Because how would you describe vibe?
Just have a really good conversation.
Okay. Do you feel like you get a sense for their personality or a sense for how they interact with the world?
They have to show their cards because I'm usually I wear pretty much all of my emotions and personality on my sleeves, so it's quite easy to like pick up on those things. So and I bring a lot of energy too.
Yeah.
So like if they're gonna match me in that regard, then I know that I probably have a good chance with whoever this person is. That's kind of my idea. I don't know.
Yeah.
What are the benefits of an activity date, I guess is what you're getting at.
So I would say most people think that way, and I think it's a totally valid way to think.
Okay.
To critique it a little bit, I would say eating itself is a very personal thing, and we don't really think about that often. But eating it culturally we share a meal with people. It's kind of an intimate setting to be in, as well as food itself is a loaded topic. A lot of people have a complicated relationship with food. Or someone like me, I have a lot of allergies, and I hate seeming like the super high maintenance person right off the bat that they're like, oh gosh, what am I getting into? And I was like, no, I'm really cool. I just like know how to take care of myself, and so I'd rather just not kind of show all those cards as my first impression. Kind of thing. And nowadays everyone has funky diets in all shape or form, so it's an easy way to just avoid that in the beginning. And then same thing as coffee dates. So intimidating body language, which sitting across from someone is genuinely the most intimidating body language. Like in puppy class, they tell us don't introduce dogs face to face because it's fighting communication. So even though we're kind of used to it, it's there subconsciously.
So should we sit next to our date like Intern are sitting?
It's better that way.
Really?
Yes.
All right, I'm
100%.
gonna pull that card.
Well, and they say that with dudes anyways. I don't know if you've heard this, but they tell at least women, if you want a guy to listen to you, stand next to him, not in front of him.
Oh, why is that?
And I think it has something to do with it's an intimidation factor when you're right in front of them, but also men like to have the freedom to look otherwise while trying to process things and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I
Would you agree with
typically am always looking downfield. So like I'm always trying to like find the open receiver. So
That's good.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. I totally agree with what you said. Yeah.
Totally. And then you can still be aware of what's going on.
Exactly.
It's kind of messed up.
spot
Andrew has a
on.
tough time reading because he'll get a couple sentences in and it's 3rd and 10 and he's got to make the play and he's got to.
And then I look up and then I lose my spot.
His eyes are always downfield, like trying to make a play. So I totally understand that.
And then like kind of going more off the activity train.
Uh-huh.
So like, this is again my dumb brain thinking.
You guys need to speak more positively about yourself first
this
of all.
is- this
Our
is-
average brains.
Our average brain.
Small brains.
Yeah. This is my favorite thing to do on the weekend. Watch college football and gamble on the games and sit in my house and then do some podcasting. Activities. He mentioned bowling and mini putt.
Both of those I squeaked out. And I was like, I
don't know if I really
want to
do those,
dude.
What are activities that I would recommend or like that I should be starting to think about? Because this is another great point. Our roommate Matt Christensen is the date king, and he always has.
Oh, really?
He just always has like cool things to do. I'm like, where do you find that, and how do you know it exists? So we need some recommendations here on the Back Pocket.
Yeah, absolutely. And so actually this is a big part of, I have a membership program, and within that I have a lot of resources like this, because I've had a ton of guys be like, okay, you say have a cool first date, but what does that mean? Right? And so there are a lot of, definitely you got to just change your mindset for it. So like your friend, what's his name, Matt?
Yep.
So he probably he's on it, so he's on the lookout
He's
for
thoughtful.
fun
He's just a
things.
thoughtful guy.
He's a really thoughtful guy.
Totally. And so that shows, and that makes a difference. And so also with resources, like, okay, the only exception I'll have for food is if you're cool that they can like have dairy. A great thing is grab ice cream and go for a walk. It's cheesy, but honestly, it's
Intern
really good.
ties all about it.
That's my go-to.
Is it?
Really?
Dominate ice cream in a walk. Because in De Pere, we had this like famous ice cream shop that was down by the river, so it was by a walking trail, so it was like lock it up, easy money.
Yeah, that's good.
Whatever, no big deal.
I
I'm
like
single,
that.
but it worked.
No,
in
that's
my,
legit. That's totally
Thank you.
legit. I like that. Good insight. So going for walks, things like that. But yeah, creating any opportunities. So I've had great first dates as like at a museum, at street fairs. Love those.
Yeah, I'd mess up a museum actually. That sounds very fun.
Yeah, and it's fun because then you also especially if you guys aren't what you wouldn't classify as museum people. It can be extra fun because then if you're like, now you're really going to see, is she funny? Is she fun? Can she make light of like, oh my gosh, it's really quiet in here and awkward and what the heck is this thing? That's bonding. And you don't really, and the key too is you don't need to know so much about the person's past and about who they've been up to this point until you know, do you've enjoyed them where they're at this point?
All right, I'm vibing
Wow.
with this. This
All
is
right.
snap
Snaps,
on,
dude.
Katie. Well done.
Yo.
Okay, museums. I'm all for that.
All right.
Those
So
are the secret trick. And then also,
Well, now I'm thinking of like,
Andrew,
what's
that was not the takeaway
That
at
was
all.
your takeaway.
well, I was like, I haven't been to a museum in maybe 3 years.
No, sorry.
Yeah.
Museum is a good
Good
takeaway,
takeaway.
but that's not what you just said. That was got the snaps.
Well,
Right?
it was what the museum means and what it creates.
What it symbolizes.
yeah.
Dude. Live in the present.
the
with your days.
opportunity it
Live-
can present.
I
Yes.
simplified it. All right, I simplified it.
So yeah, wait. What were
And
the
then-
other places? Sorry,
Oh,
you
yeah.
were like on a rant.
No, great. So,
Interrupted.
in addition, having great resources in your back pocket are
Ding.
awesome. Bonus points. And so Facebook events, super clutch.
Yep.
Just get good at looking on Facebook and say, oh, what's going on these days around Minneapolis or around Uptown? There are so many lists. I mean, that's how companies market. And so, oh, there's an open mic going on. That's kind of fun to go to sometimes. Or, and you can kind of make a little event out of things. Those are really fun. Also, Yelp has great opportunities. Yeah, just kind of knowing a few different resources to keep. You guys. So that summer that I had, I literally on one of, actually I think the main app that I was on, I kid you not, my bio was something along the line, and I coach differently than this now, but it was effective. I said, anyone want to take me to one of more of the following? And I listed like Twins game, this game, like dancing, live music, this, and I literally listed all these things. I went to like 4 pro sports games that summer as a first date.
Wow.
And they freaking like bought me a nice ticket and stuff. And I was like, so I actually, that I learned a lesson through that. Don't do that on a first date, because that was a lot of time sitting next to someone that I'm like, I don't. And then if they're like really awkward, it's like, not great. But the point is, it was awesome. And going to like a fun little local baseball game is super cute. Obviously, summer is great for that stuff, but winter too, and fall, there you can just kind of make anything out of it. And the first date itself doesn't need to be that elaborate. And so again, 30 minutes to 2 hours max. Hard max. So if you can keep it to like 20 minutes to an hour, because the whole point is just especially if this is someone you don't really know. If you've known them for a while, whatever, that's a whole different topic. But someone that you kind of either just met or met on an app or something, a quick interaction, because then you want to build the anticipation for the next time you can go on a real date.
Yeah.
And so making the next one a little more elaborate, because you're already more comfortable with them. You have a shared experience with them. Things like that. So the first one doesn't need to be that elaborate. That's why ice cream and a walk is super clutch, because it's like, sweet, oh, make fun or have fun with the little, what ice cream do I want? Great. And then you walk around, oh, look, a duck. Ah, ha, ha. Oh, I once had a duck. Great. Bonding, quick loop around. And we all know within the first 10, 15 minutes if you actually like someone or not.
And you get tired too. I feel like if I go on a long walk, I'm gonna get winded. I'm gonna run out of breath by the end, dude.
But then that's also kind of a fun opportunity to be like, oh, let's just sit down on this bench real quick.
I'm exhausted. We need to sit down. I'm gonna pass out.
Yeah, take a knee.
So am I
Take a
too.
knee.
And then you bond over like just being
screw working
incredibly
out.
out of
Let's go do
shape.
something else,
Yeah.
and then that's fine.
Yeah. Okay. So we want to run this idea as at the Corp here. We're timing this your podcast up with kind of a cool event that we're doing here
Ooh.
very soon. So
Okay.
today's Monday. On Wednesday, I had one of our listeners set me up with a blind date, and the first date is going to be a podcast, and Andrew's going to record it, and I'm going to be with this girl I've never met before. Her name's Courtney. I don't know anything else about her.
Oh my gosh, this is so good. Okay.
So
Yeah.
this kind of falls inside the lines, but kind of outside lines of it's a conversation, but it is an event.
And it sure as hell is an activity.
Yeah, that's legit. I would say if you have, to actually make it go well when you first meet her, I'll give a few, immediate
We need
tips.
tips.
I need
Okay.
tips. I'm gonna, I need
So
those.
right when you meet her, break the touch barrier. So do a nice hug, things
Okay,
like that.
easy.
Pull
Not
some
a-
gentleman moves. So it's like, oh, let me show you up the stairs or whatever. Kind of like, guide her back a little bit, things like that. That's a
Yeah,
good
yeah.
way to kind of just build a little bit of cred.
Okay.
And then,
I was also thinking of being outside waiting for her,
yeah, that'd be
because
really
like our house
cute.
is like very not welcoming.
Approachable?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, after the mums.
Yeah, now, hey.
Once we have the mums, I think I
Just
feel a
wait.
little bit better.
And it's decorated right now with Halloween stuff.
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
it kinda
it
looks
looks
cool.
nice.
Yeah.
I like it.
That's Matt. That's the thoughtful one in the house.
Yeah.
Go, Matt and I need to be friends.
Yeah.
He's
We should.
awesome.
That's a great guy, Matty C.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Break the
okay,
touch
Break
barrier.
the touch barrier.
Yeah.
Got
Okay.
it.
Mhm.
What else?
Oh man, it's just tough because so that's a good way to at least get a head start on a little bit of body language.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe topics as like a
Yeah.
first date. Is there something that Decky should just be like, all right, avoid at all costs? I mean, that may be common sense, but
Well,
this guy doesn't have the most
yeah.
common
I
sense.
lack most confidence.
I would
And she
say,
doesn't know that about me yet, unless there's no way she'll be able to listen to this unless she's tuned in right now.
Yeah, she could.
And no one's tuned into
There
this.
is a lot of content about you out there, though. So she
Yeah.
could come in knowing
She could
a
do
lot
her
about
research
you.
for sure. Where you don't have research on her necessarily.
at all. So that's going to be kind of an interesting
Yeah.
dynamic. Is she's going to know
That's
a
so
lot
cool.
about me, but I'm not going to know a lot about her, which actually kind of sets it up perfectly because
Yeah.
we do this every day. You know?
Right.
We technically go on blind dates all the time with they just happen to be different people.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
So I'm not too worried about it, but I just want to make sure
Yeah.
that she's comfortable from her standpoint
Mm.
because, like, I'm the one who came up with this idea and like I'm trying to manifest this whole thing. She's the one who's actually buying in. So like I want to make sure she's A, like comfortable, B, rewarded for like a
Yeah.
good time.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make
Oh, that's
trying
good.
to-
Okay, so I would say also talk about things, like, or about things and not necessarily about past. Like, you want to, a big thing is you do want to focus on the future, the present and the future, because
Ooh,
so
good point.
often it's like, oh, where are you from? Where do you go to school? Tell me about your family, this and that. But what that's doing is we're telling all these personal things to someone that we haven't established any trust with yet.
Mm.
And so a fun way to get to know them more is talking about things. And so, oh, what do you think of mums? Have you ever done flowers before? Oh, yeah, actually. Or no, I suck at flowers. Yeah, I know. I can't keep a succulent alive. Like, that's a pretty common thing. But talking about stuff, yes, it seems a little more superficial, but also that's a way to bond in order. It's tough because you guys do this all the time. So you like to get to the meat of things right away. But think about it too. If to make her comfortable, she might not be entirely ready for that because she doesn't know you. She knows stuff
Yes.
about you, but she doesn't know you, and you don't know her. And so you guys haven't earned that from each other yet.
Mm.
A
So you got to earn it.
little bit,
Okay.
I would say. I mean, and depending on how open she is too. Like she's probably awesome if she's signed up for
Yeah,
this.
if
So
yeah, it was within like an hour. I reached out to Clara, who was
Okay.
she was a guest not too long ago. I think sometime in July or August, and I reached out to her, and within an hour, she had a spot filled, and I was like, "That's very cool."
that's awesome.
Very stoked about that. Ty, what were you
Yeah.
gonna say?
Are you gonna attack it differently since it's like a date? Because you do this all the time, so
Yeah.
you could attack it just like, oh, we're recording a podcast. But are you gonna like give that romantic?
Are you gonna flirt?
pretense?
Yeah. How can we get you to flirt
Yeah.
here? Yeah.
Decky's gonna flirt.
'Cause I feel like if
Yeah.
you don't flirt, then it's just like a normal podcast.
And
that's
so
kinda
by
lame.
flirting, you're also you're being vulnerable in a unique way
Yeah.
because I bet you're not really flirting with most of your guests.
No.
So
Depends how you look at it. I'm complimenting a lot of people.
yeah,
when they
and
come
that's
on here.
another thing that I would say too that I think you guys already do a great job at is you really want to be impressed by someone. Not always, so often we go through things like, oh, I really want them to like me. I'm going to try to impress them. But it's how people remember how you make them feel, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the same thing is you want to be impressed by them, be
Hmm.
wowed by them. And
Yeah.
so, but not like in a
Interesting.
cheesy way. And so the best thing you can do, which you guys already do a good job with, is be authentic, be honest. And because women, we're wicked smart, you guys. Like we can smell like insecurity, we can smell desperation, all that. We can smell that a mile away. And so,
Oh shit.
oh yeah.
Can you smell the like? Can you smell the? Can you smell all the insecurity from like me from last year too? God damn.
The sharks in the water out there.
Yeah, you just got eaten alive and
Yeah.
then some.
I mean, I had a feeling you guys knew about a lot of stuff, but I didn't know you knew.
Well, we're just highly intuitive. And most women that are secure in themselves and confident and stuff too we're on it. Like we get it. And we're so, and so we have, women have this whole strategy too. And I coach a lot of that also is you want to make things seem like the man's idea. You want to make it seem, but really, have you heard of drop the hanky?
I can assume what it kind of means. I haven't heard it though.
So the whole concept, and it's so funny. So basically, drop the hanky is now symbolic for everything for every generation. And it goes back to when a woman sees a guy and she's like, oh, I really want him to pay attention to me or whatever. So then she walks by him, casually drops her hanky, conveniently where he'll see it, conveniently where he then has the opportunity to be the hero, where he's like, ooh, look at me. I get to be the super stud right here. So he picks up the hanky and is like, ma'am, is this yours? She's like, oh, you're so kind. And then you have a nice little conversation. And then that's how, you have the conversation and that leads into you're really cute. Let's go on a date. And so which don't say that totally, by the way, those words. But the concept is the same. And so we do that all the time. And women are just good at it. So we just figure out, okay, but we recognize men want to have it be their idea and things like that. And so we'll figure out how to symbolically drop the hanky in our modern day. And then they think it's their idea. So possibly manipulative, but also brilliant.
Yeah,
you know?
where's this manipulation? How's this going down? I want to know if this has happened to us before.
Oh, like
Any
probably.
examples?
Yeah.
Modern day hanky dropping?
Yeah. Oh, well, a great one is if you're at a bar or something and a gal asks you to do a favor for her in any shape or form, she's working you.
Really?
And so you're like, oh, even like, oh my, like, sorry, do you know where the bathroom is? I've never been here. You're like, oh yeah, so oh, thank you so much. Right then, she's establishing, I wanted to talk to you a little bit, but now you feel comfortable to talk to her again, or that she just introduced herself a little bit into your radar. Another thing is if you, you could, I mean, it's very obvious, but you can well, maybe not obvious. If you like leave your jacket by someone or something like that, you just set them up for it. So I don't know, you've probably done stuff like that where you're just like, or casually.
You work yourself for an opportunity, essentially. You just gotta get creative with it.
Oh, for sure. Or like even opening doors and things like that. You kind of can linger in the right way. And then he's like, oh, thank you so much. So kind. What a gentleman. Yeah. And then you're like, I feel so good. Yeah, look at me. I'm a gentleman. She totally set that up so you could hold the door for her so then she could say that so then you would feel good. And then
I think I did that on accident one time. I took way too long to open the door, and then there were like more girls coming in behind, and then I opened the door for all of them. But that was totally my fault for not. Or
that happens to a lot of guys. It's hard to get out of there.
I fell into
it.
It's
hard to get out of that.
I felt like a hero, honestly, and that doesn't happen all the time. That's crazy. Okay, so
well, good luck with your mystery date.
Yeah,
that'll be interesting.
Yeah, you said talk about things, which like I can do that, but like I'm also kind of like what kind of things we talking about? Like what?
Yeah.
I guess it's probably dependent on who it is, right?
Yeah, you'll find something to talk about. You always do.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about that part.
Yeah. But
I'm just excited.
The whole point being don't just grill her of like, tell me about your relationship with your family, and you're like,
no, I was gonna start off with like shitting on Clara.
There you go.
She's funny.
She's
easily.
And then there'll be me behind the mics over here, and I'll be producing it. So I can always chime in.
Totally.
And help
Andrew's the MC.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I told my mom about that last night. And she was like so excited about it. I was like, Mom, you've never been excited about me going on a date ever. But then she was like, no, Declan, this is like a whole business plan. Like you can like do this at other coffee shops and restaurants and all these different places. And like you guys can just be the hosts of like little podcast pop-up shops for first dates. And I was like, God, how do you think of all these things?
Brilliant.
And then I was telling her about you coming on, and she was like, you guys can be like the catalyst for all the different things, or like we're basically your test subjects of like how relationships work because they're all first dates. And then like she's like, then you can build out a platform. And I was like, Jesus, Mom, this is so
she's
much.
On a roll.
I was like, this is at like 8 p.m. on a Sunday. I was like, this is impressive. But I figured you should hear that because it was kind of cool. But
I love that. Yeah, all the social experiments for sure.
Crazy.
And then kind of flipping the conversation back to you and your career and your in this business model that you're a first date expert. What are some like how do you gain new clients and what are these clients asking for like right away? What are their initial questions to kind of get themselves back into the game?
Yeah, so a lot of it I end up doing the life coaching. And so a lot of my clients range from the full spectrum of I'm going on a million dates and nothing's working. Like, and then they're kind of like, okay, well, how can we help this? What can we fix? What's going on here? And then we dissect that to I can't even talk to a girl. And so from that, with those clients, we need to work on, all right, what are our limiting beliefs we're dealing with? A lot of them have childhood traumas with the opposite sex, with not being super familiar, not having healthy relationships with them, things like that. So then when you grow up and you're in your 20s, you're like, I don't really know how to have healthy relationships, or I always end up being friend zoned and stuff because you don't know how to turn on your kind of romantic side a little bit or channel those different parts of your personality. And so we do work through a lot of that and break down I guess just kind of, okay, so practice talking to a girl, practice, and it's don't just start if someone really can't talk to a girl. It's like, okay, like true story, you guys, a lot of the men that I work with, I'm like the only female they can talk to, which is a big responsibility for me. But also everyone kind of sees me as a sister, which is nice. And that's kind of why I want to be the sister to everyone, because I think they could use that. A lot of men could. And sisters are just great in general. So if you guys have sisters, like,
Absolutely.
they're
Shout out
awesome.
to sisters.
Yeah, go
I got 3
sisters.
of them.
Really?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
great. I have 2 sisters too, so they're
Amazing.
great. But yeah, so just kind of being that sister for them, and we practice. I have a strategy that I call, what is it, the 4 A's or something. So we attempt, assess, adjust, attempt again. And so we try something, and with these clients that I work with, we start very small scale. So we try something. So we try talking to the old lady at the supermarket. Okay, so you wouldn't think it's that intimidating. You're like, okay, she's like my grandma, great. But you just start talking to her. All right. And then you assess, how did it go? What kind of adjustments do we need to make for next time? How could we build on that, make it a better thing, and then attempt again? And so that's a kind of the whole process that we work through, no matter where someone is at on that spectrum of, and then with the people that go on a bunch of dates, something they're doing isn't right. And a lot of times it's because they're going on coffee dates and they're not able to express their personality, express body language. They don't know what body language is. They don't know how to carry themselves well. And so that's turning off all the dates that they're going on.
Are there just like enough people out there? And I feel like Andrew and I, again, kind of fall into this category of like people who just don't have the date experience. Because like Andrew is, we were college football players. Like that's what we did on Saturdays. We had, you know, our normal school activities, and then, you know, kind of just going through the party routine or whatever we ended up doing that night.
Right.
So a lot of like I guess we weren't really focused or keen on like the dating life. But then when you get out of college and you kind of have more free time and more things to think about, within those it comes like maybe going on dates and stuff, but really not having any experience. Is that like a typical person, or what would you coach someone up on?
100%. You just described what I call my target market. So I call them the never really dated 20-somethings.
Okay.
And it's all these people that wake up one day in their 20s, never really dated for whatever reason, and they look around and everyone's either super heavy in the hookup culture or they're married. And they're like, okay, well, I'm neither. What does that mean? And, you know, it's like, okay, if I do want a relationship, I just don't know where to start. I do want, you know, and so that's totally where I come in. And that's how I'm like, it's okay. Like, it's a lot of times too, it feels like this judgment of it's too late to ask these questions. It's too late. Everyone else already like figured this stuff out in high school, and here I am, mid-20s, and I don't know any better, you know? So that's what I think a big part of why people gravitate towards me is because I am able to just be kind and authentic and just no judgment. It's all right. So a lot of things in life we don't know until someone just explains them to us. And it's really refreshing when that happens, from my experience and then from the feedback I've received too. So that's definitely a common spot. I don't know if I answered your question.
No, you did.
you
Absolutely.
did. And I feel like I fall in that box. And and this is a great stepping stone to start getting out of it. And, you know, but I'm scared because it's Q4. And this is a theory we had back in, what was it, last year around this time? Or maybe even season 1, where we were like, when you get to the fall into winter months of the year, it's a little harder to date because you got those big events coming up and you don't want to get trapped in those events. You got the Thanksgivings coming up, you got the Christmases, and then the next thing you know, it's New Year's and Valentine's Day, and you're like, holy smokes, you're getting that serious. So are you recommending dating in October, or do you just stay away from those months because it gets kind of scary late into the year?
I think you could say that about any time of the year.
You
know, and honestly, like, if you have the confidence to navigate it somewhat appropriately and you're clear and you're pretty straightforward with things, you'll be okay.
Yeah, there's events all throughout the whole year, I guess.
Some of the best dates I've been on have been in October, actually. Or I mean, because every time of the year it's like, oh, then you get through the holidays and you're like, oh, Valentine's Day is coming, and then like
St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patrick, like then spring break time, and people have experience about that, and then summertime's coming. Oh, do you want to be dating someone in the summer or not? You know, and so I would say also for you, it's a great opportunity to just get introduced to the world, the environment, the process a little bit, and just starting to get comfortable on your own and stuff. I'm not saying just use a bunch of girls to go on dates, but it's okay to practice, and they can be genuine. And if you really hit it off with one, awesome. If not, it's okay. No harm, no foul. And so that's why keeping it light and going on casual first dates, there's not a lot of risk involved, and that's what's nice to get used to.
How have you acquired some clientele and like people to work with? How is that? How have you gone about that process?
A lot of through referral. I am just friends with a ton of guy friends. I just have kind of always enjoyed having guy friends, and so they gravitate towards me, and it's a tricky adjustment to be like, okay, like a lot of people I work with are just friends with me, and sometimes we have to dance a little bit where it's like, okay guys, but I do this professionally now, like I can't just be handing out gold mine stuff all the time, but we're friends. So I don't know, some people we're very close, so it's fine. But otherwise, I'd say just a lot of referrals through social media and stuff too, and
Nice.
I'd say especially I'm still pretty new to the game, so I'm just getting traction a little bit. So I'm excited that this is kind of our first time here, because like you just posted recently, when things come back around, sometimes there's some really fun progress to reflect on.
Oh yeah.
So I'm stoked to hopefully fall into that category.
Absolutely.
And yeah. So yeah, a lot of referrals, things like that. Social media. I do have courses online, and courses are a great way. So to everybody out there, courses are a great way to kind of get some anonymous help. A lot of men, that's why it's funny working with men, and I work with men and women both. So women are always welcome because it's almost always the same stuff, but men just need to know that they're extra welcome, because women are so easy to catch, where we're already Googling this stuff, we're already looking it up. Like women are just awesome in that way, because we're like Pinteresting, ooh, like how can I get better at a first date, where men have some egos to work with, have tricky social dynamics to work with, things like that. So I make an extra effort to make men feel welcome
For the women.
Right, exactly. Oh, guys,
Catch up the speed a little
you
bit.
guys, I've literally had so many girls be like, hey, so like feel free to send your nice shy guys my way, like if they're not
You could be a funnel.
yeah, like I've got a whole stock, you guys, but some I'm like, they're not ready to date you, just wait, like give us some time, or like
They're still in the farm system.
yeah, they need to
They're in single A.
Yeah, they got some single A rookies that are not ready to go on dates, dude.
Yeah.
You got some triple A hitters, dude. Oh man.
but
Yeah.
courses are a great way for them to be like, okay, I'll check this out, and then they're like, oh, I clearly have a lot of deeper issues that we need to work through, and then they'll call me up and say, all right, I want to work through this stuff.
That's
And I keep
super
everything
cool.
confidential. I never tell anyone about my clients.
Got
so.
it. So you don't I was also gonna you said social media, but you're not like DMing guys, be like, hey, you might need like my
Not
services.
particularly.
Looking through your profile, brother. Yeah, well, let's find a
Do
time
you have any-
to meet.
How can I'd love to do that in a way that isn't extremely offensive. There's no way.
That's
But if
that's
I
what's-
had
it's
the magic
interesting.
thing, it'd be super clutch. Because I can tell you, like I can look at someone and within 3 seconds identify a lot of things about them. I'm just really good at judging people.
Yeah.
And
Well,
Wait, can we identify us?
yeah, have you looked through our profiles?
well, I know, and I haven't listened a ton, but I know a little bit, and I think
You don't have to put us in any boxes, but I'm just curious. If,
Yeah.
from your perspective, a new guest coming in, I'd love
Yeah.
to hear what you think of maybe the back pocket or of us in particular.
yeah, well, I think you guys fall into a couple different categories, and I don't want to. Okay, I also don't like being put in a box, so take this out of love. Okay, I feel like Andrew, you've had a bit of kind of a conservative, maybe more sheltered upbringing, and things like that. Also, I've heard bits and pieces of the back pocket, so I might have picked it up a little bit here and there. You might have been some of you guys both aren't from here originally, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And so that's probably kind of some cultural adjustments a little bit, even though we're not that crazy different. Still getting used to Minnesota and how our odd tendencies and stuff tend to be. And then St. Thomas, God bless it. There are so many dating issues that come out of St. Thomas, you guys. Like, they're just
Really?
Oh yeah, like it's just such a. Because I mean, if you guys know the stigma around this, okay. Dear all St. Thomas people, I love a lot of you. It's okay. Like, you know, we're friends here. But it is funny how that kind of environment is so different than other small schools. People joke that St. Thomas is like high school all over again. And so, like, I could tell you 50 people from Eden Prairie that went to St. Thomas right now. And I'm sure you could probably tell me too. And so it's just funny where it's very, there's a lot of pros to that. So the Tommies are very tight knit and things like that. But also socially, the dynamic is going to be very different in that setting than in other colleges where most people are from way out of state.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that was
And you guys were the out of staters, actually.
exactly. So that was our
Yeah.
case. We gravitated
Ooh.
to all of our friends. I think were out of state. Like initially, we just gathered right next to each other
Ah.
because we got kind of exiled to the fact that we didn't know anyone and everyone else knew each other.
Yes.
So we weren't even fit into any cliques. So then we just became our own. Like a lot of people
Gotcha.
from Colorado and Illinois and Wisconsin,
I
floated.
would say those
That's
are the
awesome.
majority of my closest friends.
Yeah.
Really?
And that doesn't mean that I have friends that went to Eden Prairie and went to all these other schools.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at the consistency over the 6 years that I've been here,
Yeah.
the people that I've been around with the most come from a similar background in the sense of being not really from Minnesota.
Yeah. I love that. I commend you guys. And also, I'm
interesting.
sorry
Mhm.
because Minnesotans are very cliquey, and it sucks. And it's like this whole weird thing. And I'm sure you noticed that in
Yeah.
Uptown too. It's the 10. The
So
trend.
with the St. Thomas background,
Yeah.
you think like we act cliquey a little bit? Or
No,
we're starting a cult too.
Yeah, this is kind of a
This
cult.
is kind
It's
of
all
a
in little.
cult. We were kind of waiting for you to get to that, but yeah, it is.
But then, but
Welcome.
also, thank you. Wow, I don't know if I'm honored or not. And but I would say too, the dating dynamic so I've heard from St. Thomas can be very dicey a little bit, and so especially with dudes, and especially athletic dudes, there's a tricky thing where you really, this is from what I've heard, is that you really can't be in like an actually serious relationship or something much without getting super picked on by other guys or made fun of or just kind of trash talking a lot here and there, and you just feel this odd
Tension.
yeah, it's just kind of confusing. And then there's like probably weird like a bunch of like houses of a bunch of cute girls and this and then you guys are all probably like buddies and whatever, and there might be some like interflirting, but it's not really a setting where you're like, I genuinely think you're a great person, like could we give this a shot, because there's too many funky social things going on. Would you say, did I stereotype that right?
To a point,
Mhm.
I think.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I would say that's pretty fair. Like generally, that's pretty fair because there are. It's a lot of like everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
And when I go back and look at like my relationships at St. Thomas, like the reason I was able to hit it off with girl A and girl B was because like they were off the beaten paths of groups that I didn't even know. So when I entered into that like girl's life essentially, like I was pretty much the new guy and I had to assimilate with that group, which was awesome. Like my favorite thing to do is to show up at a place where I'm the like I don't know a damn person. I love doing that. It's so
cool.
much fun. But I would say that supports your theory.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Totally.
interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I actually would say you guys probably got great experience then for that same scenario you just described. I feel like happens a lot in adult life, and I encourage it. And so I think some of the best dating environments are not with people within your circle, because there's so much pressure and there's so much like, God bless all the people that are like, oh well, they're my Bible study and they're like, good luck, man, because if that goes downhill, like you're screwed. And you're just gonna be really awkward forever. And I know so many people that have, so there was a lot of people put a lot of weight on, well, I want to get to know them first and get to know them as friends and stuff before pursuing them. There's a certain breed of people that can think that way. I'm not one of those. I'm kind of like, if I meet someone, I can make like a pretty quick judgment of like, oh, I'm into you, or no, it will be your friends for the rest of our lives. Like that's kind of it. Then sometimes if like, oh, I'm into you, and then they friend zone me, and then we're great. So some of my best friends actually have been guys that it didn't work out with, which is fine. But where I'm going with this is that I encourage people to date outside of their circles, and especially as you're getting introduced into the dating world a little bit, it's nice to be able to just kind of go out, and then if it doesn't work out, it's fine, and you don't have that haunting you for the rest of your social life and things like that. And it also does expand you into other groups, and if you don't work out, maybe you're still gonna be friends with some of those friends, but it's also okay, we're like, okay, those are her friends, these are my friends, and you kind of get to keep that territory a little bit afterwards too. So I do encourage that. I think it's healthy, and it's a lower risk.
The have you ever had like a guy go through your farm system and like crush a date?
Yeah.
Like maybe so much to earn a second date?
Oh yeah. I mean, oh yeah. I would say it's all little bits and pieces here and there, and everyone is so different, and so it's really not one size fits all. It's taking into account their personality, their social tendencies, their experience with girls, and then kind of just making adjustments or giving advice accordingly.
Yeah. Well, I guess my question was because going, you said like your target market is like the never really been on a date 20-somethings. So have you, I mean, knowing that that's your target market, have you had success within that target market of just like sending dudes off on dates that are activities, potentially museums? Like has it just worked out in terms of like that target market for people and in your experience so far?
Yeah, I'd say
Sweet.
so. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's coming along. Again, I'm only like,
how many months into you are
I
right
launched
now?
July 1st.
Nice.
So I feel kind of
That's
a little bit
awesome.
of the baby in the entrepreneur world, but it's been really fun to meet a lot of people and network
That's
a lot
super
and stuff.
cool.
But in general, yeah, I'd say people it's just a kind of a trial and error. I don't like to say trial and error, but attempt, adjust, and attempt again kind of thing. And that's the whole process. Yeah. And so I'd say that's been pretty successful to change the mentality of people being like, okay, yeah, how can I keep going? And even if you are with the same woman for several dates, you're still kind of applying the same concept of, all right, I don't want to.
Right. It's not like it's not like a one fixed thing, and it's like, oh, I'm great. That was the key. That was it.
It's a practice. It's an exercise to do.
Got it.
Yeah, but I'm hopeful. I think there are a lot of good eggs that are a lot of good people, and I say I really work with good-hearted men because so many people just feel gypped where they're like, like, why are all the good guys or all the bad guys get the good girls and things like that, or why do
There's
nice
no
guys
good guys left.
You know,
It's a shame.
And if you guys knew, I want all the men in the world, especially that identify as a good-hearted guy, which I would say probably all you guys would fall into that. I don't really know you guys that much, but it seems
we're good guys.
You guys seem like
allegedly.
good guys,
yeah.
and you have good hearts. And there are so many women out there that are like, where the heck are all the dudes? Like, I know you're out there. You just don't know that I'm out here. And I like, give it time. We could get all you guys really great dates and just with really quality people because they're out there. It's just such a tricky time in history to navigate that. And people don't meet people the same way. People don't socialize the same way. In freaking Uptown, people aren't actually that open to meeting new people all the time because it's cliquey. And that's the Minnesota thing where I've heard one of you guys are from Colorado, right? Yeah. I've heard Colorado's awesome for meeting new people.
Oh yeah, it's a blast out there.
Boulder's just hilarious because everyone's a transplant. They're like, sweet, let's be friends.
Well, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, and that's Colorado in general.
Okay,
Like, there's
which
not
is
a
so
lot
cool.
of people
I
that
love
are
that.
from Colorado. A lot of them are like, I'm from California, Texas, everywhere. So everyone's
Yeah.
from everywhere else
Sure.
in Colorado, just because of like the boom of population there in the last 5-6 years.
So cool.
So downtown is a blast. Like it's
awesome.
very, very cool. But I do want to touch on like you were saying like
yeah.
there are plenty of great girls, great guys out there.
Yeah.
And you know, there are just like a ton of different ways to find people, but it's a weird kind of pseudo time in history where you have like the dating apps, which I would love to get your opinion on. And then where are all the good girls then?
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
So where are they?
Totally. Great question. And so I actually kind of just did a little post on this too. It's like, believe it or not, they really are everywhere. It's changing your energy to be receptive to them.
Oh.
And so what during my experimental phase, and I mean, I continue because it's great skills to have, is if you kind of turn on your approachability factor, your attractiveness, and it's not saying look super hot all the time, but it's like just attracting people to you through your warmth, through your welcoming energy, people are just drawn to you. And that's really fun that way. So I went grocery shopping last Thursday at Cub and after work time, whatever. And I was like, there are so many cute men here. What is going on? Like, this is great. And
did you drop the hanky?
Did you
drop like some food on the ground?
Like yeah.
throw some nanas out there.
Have at it.
Oh no, my apple. My wheat thins. Yeah. LaCroix would be a good one to pick me up with. I'd be like, holy shit, I gotta grab that. Ma'am, is this yours?
Literally, you guys.
Key lime's my favorite.
The funniest. Okay, so here's the secret. So, wrapping up the grocery store. Basically, there are attractive people and great people all around us. You kind of just have to keep your eyes peeled and go where they kind of might be. And don't just be like, oh, I'm on the hunt and looking out all the time. But people go grocery shopping after work. People go to work out. People like to hang out, you know, and so that's kind of the blanket statement. It's like they really are everywhere. You just have to keep your eyes peeled. And the main thing is that, yeah, turning on your your approachability is really key. And there are certain skills to have with that that can be kind of covered under. There's a huge concept by Mark Manson, if you guys know who he is, that it's all about neediness versus non-neediness. And like I said, women can smell things a mile away. So a woman can sense if a guy is being needy or if he is needy as a whole, like instantly. And it's very easy to expose. And so what is neediness? And that'd be kind of insecurity. That'd be, I'm just being needy. How can I articulate that? Do you kind of know what I mean?
No, I know
by
what you mean.
needy a little bit and just being like, I need attention. I need you to like me. I need your affirmation.
Oh, so like kind of like going into your love languages, being confident in what that is and being transparent about it with whoever that is, or just in general?
As far as not,
Needy.
like having
like you said you need.
There's like
words
real
about
life
need.
needs.
Okay.
But then there's being needy. and we all have needs. Okay, sorry. So I'll articulate a little more. So as humans, we have basic needs, and what's that called? The triangle of
hierarchy of Maslow's.
Maslow
Yeah.
hierarchy of needs.
Yeah. So that's
Good
very
stuff,
valid.
Andy.
Yeah, good grab. That's very valid and super real. But what's not included in that is the need for all of your confidence to come from other people, all of your self-security to be validated by other people, things like that. So it's your own insecurities, your own weaknesses that you're projecting onto others is what is ultimately neediness.
Oh.
And women can smell that a mile away. And men can smell that from women too. Like if you know a desperate girl when you see one, kind of thing. Unfortunately, it's true. And same for women perceiving men that way as well. So then having non-neediness is, okay, so this is the key to success. And I was actually just studying about it recently, and it was so fun. Basically, if you can be super authentic and honest and not care too much, don't have a ton of investment. And so by investing in yourself more than you're investing in, oh, will she like me back? Boom, your attractive level just skyrocketed.
Whoa.
Yeah, so that's the whole thing is, oh, well, we're all the nice girls. Well, if you were to say, literally, actually, this will be a fun experiment for us to try with you, is if you literally do grocery shopping and you see someone kind of cute, try to drop a hanky and drop a yogurt next to her and then be like, oh, sorry, did drop the hanky work? Or something like that. And she'd be like, haha, nice try. That's an in. And right away, you're having a funny conversation with her.
Wow.
And then you could either have the opportunity to be like, okay, enjoy the rest of your grocery shopping. And then you circle. And then if you like happen to run into each other after, you're like, oh my gosh, that's a fun way to flirt. And
Yeah.
that, I feel like,
Wow.
especially you, Deck, I think you could be really effective at that.
Just
So.
rolling the Croix down the aisle.
Dude, I'm gonna be bowling each lane, dude. Aisle 7's gonna be my shit. A lot of hot chicks in aisle 7.
Oh man.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah,
So that's
thank
kind
You
of
did a great job explaining that. So
Thank you.
Snaps
Snaps.
for Katie.
I appreciate that.
That's phenomenal.
Thank
Okay, so what it really comes down to then is really like the vulnerability aspect, like, and then also comboing that with your self-awareness, knowing
Yes.
what your needs are.
Yep.
So now I'm thinking like, okay, if I'm caring less but also being aware at the same time, like, is that just gonna piss you off? Like, I feel like if I'm knowingly just like kind of like, okay, it's not a big deal and just no big dealing everything, that could heighten the emotions of women, which maybe that's what they need.
It's
That's how I win.
Oddly enough, it's attractive. And I don't
Whoa.
totally know why yet, but it's
Okay.
well, I do know. I don't know how to articulate it yet, but basically, when women don't want people that care too much, because we as the caregivers naturally
Oh.
are just like, oh gosh, here's another baby to take care of. It's
Got
symbolic baby. And that's a burden, and that's annoying. Where we naturally, if you go all the way back to caveman days, we want someone that can protect and provide and things like that, right? And
Oh.
by having someone that is super confident and confident enough to be like, whether or not you talk back to me or like you reciprocate your interest back, I'm gonna be okay and I'm gonna enjoy my life just as much as And by doing that, it just builds this attraction, and it has low investment, which is attractive, surprisingly. So you want to invest in yourself more than you're investing in the person you're talking to, but you want to be extremely authentic and real. And so by you saying, let's go with this produce thing, because this could be a really fun experiment actually. But if you say, wow, that'd be an example. I didn't know someone else liked that type of chips too. That's really fun. Like, I'm really into like funky, healthy snacks. And so that's so cool. Great. And I genuinely would say that to anybody under the sun, just because I'm like, wow, let's bond. I just
it's relatable.
want to express something that I think is great. Have a great day.
Right.
And if they happen to be a really hot person, they're like, what? She's okay just leaving like that? What? And ooh, that's attractive.
Okay, I like that.
That's
like it.
awesome. So thank you for those tips.
Yeah.
I want to open it up to Ty.
Ty, you
got
got any questions?
Ooh.
Yeah, you should start your own podcast. Do you have a podcast?
I don't. I just like being on other people's
Oh my!
podcasts.
You should start your podcast. Would you not listen to a podcast if we're just giving dating advice for?
I would need it.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
thank
is a
you.
recurring.
That falls
Yeah,
into my
yeah, yeah.
Maslow
Yeah.
hierarchy of needs.
There we go.
Yeah.
Katie sir right in there.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was my question. My question is like, how do you shoot your shot? So my most recent, I'm gonna kind of expose myself here. So my most
Ooh,
recent
here we go.
experience in like shooting my shot, so to say, was I was at a bar and because I'm 21, and there was this girl, and I just kind of went up to her, and my opening line was, "You're really cute," and she came back to me and was like, "Yeah, I know, you've been staring at me all night," and so I just put myself in an absolute hole. I managed to dig out a little bit, but didn't end that well.
How did you try to dig out of it?
Huh? Well, I kind of like made a joke about like she's like, "Yeah, you've been staring at me all night," and then I think I like made a joke about like her again being like kind of flirty, like her being like attractive again, and then I just tried to like completely change the subject, and then like we got to talking, and then I just ended up leaving. I did pull a move where I just left, like not like abruptly, but I was like, I just kind of like mysteriously grifted off. But anyway,
Okay.
It didn't start well.
So do you feel like are you saying was this an effective shot that you
No, I'm
took?
saying, well, the whole situation, it was kind of like just a wash anyway, but I'm
Okay,
saying
yeah,
like going up to somebody or even like online, like on
Yeah.
any of these dating apps or anything, like how do you make that first move towards somebody to like show your interest? Because I feel like it's kind of weird if you break it down from like a person to person, like if I'm just like going up to you, like what do you say? Or even when you're reaching out to somebody, I guess on a dating app it's different because you're already under the pretext that you're going to be talking, but like how do you make that cold open?
Great question.
Thank you.
I'm sure a lot of our listeners would echo that question, right?
Of course.
So I think honestly you did a fine job with that. I think that was like,
Yeah.
I mean,
You did great. Ty's a great kid.
you
right?
seem great, Ty.
Thank you.
Stop chewing into the mic, dude.
Congrats on being 21. That's really exciting. Make good decisions. So a fun way to set yourself up for opportunity is with what you wear. Especially, so women know this too.
Oh,
is
man.
you want
Don't tell this guy that. This guy's wearing tiger shirts and the most.
it probably is a total conversation point,
He went-
isn't it?
Oh yeah.
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 I went on like a first date one time with a lion shirt, my lion shirt, and
You did not.
my date was wearing like a cheetah sundress, and it was just like
What? This is
we went to the
perfect.
moon. It was nuts.
Yeah.
Just fully packed our things and went. It was nuts. It was sweet, and it was definitely because we were dressed up as felines together.
Bunch of cats.
Bunch of cats, dude. Cats are always on the attack, and they're built for that. So, to the moon.
Hey, yeah, but
But
to your
sorry,
point,
it worked.
Yeah, I don't really know how to respond to that. So, spot on though. And so having like, even St. Thomas football sweatshirt. Oh, St. Thomas is awesome. Boom, that's a talking point. Or my cousin went to St. Thomas. Or I went to St. Thomas. Really? That's
What do you
great.
not wear then?
But just kind of the whole point is to give something an eye-popping opportunity. And so a tiger shirt is like, that guy's different. And right away, she could, if she wanted to talk to you, she could easily say, I think tigers are cool. Great. Bonding. And,
Boom.
you
There
know,
we
and
are.
like you
Yeah.
can kind of, and like you guys can both improvise well
Yeah.
enough, and you can come up with stuff to say. And something you could have said too, instead of, I think you're cute. Cute girls get that all the time. Like everyone knows.
Yeah.
Like, and not to totally toot our own horn, but we get like, oh, you're beautiful. Oh, thank. And like, I truly am always very genuinely thankful because I do think it takes a lot of courage, for someone to say something, and also that is a compliment, and I appreciate that, But if you want to stand out, you can say something else. And so online, there's a whole other topic of sliding into the DMs, yada yada. But the overarching theme of it is you want to identify things, and this would go with the dating app too. Is you want to identify deeper things. And so more content that is not just great smile, you're cute.
Yeah.
She's like, thanks, stand in line. Like, and not that girls have like tons of guys doing that, but give or take, it's not
You're not the only one.
surprising.
Great, stand in line.
Yeah, I'll take a number.
Mine's over here, sir.
You're number 37.
Yeah.
Here's your
Kelly.
ticket.
Your weight is
Yeah.
as long like the
It's
DMV.
just the DMV.
But yeah, so kind of the whole thing is being authentic and showing that you can be genuine and honest. And one of the best compliments I actually ever received was this was a really fun one. He was awesome. I should reach out to him again. But we were actually in Stella's, believe it or not, dancing in the thing. I was out for my friend's birthday, and he said to me, "I love how animated you are when you dance." And I was like, "Thank you. I'm really fun, you guys. But if you ever want to go out sometime, like I just am really fun.
Yeah.
'Cause I just love dancing, and I love it. I don't know. I have a big
Moving.
personality, and so that was such a fun compliment to receive. And we totally went on 2 awesome dates. He was the museum one, which was super sweet.
Yo.
Yeah, he was
all right.
he was awesome. He was great. He was kind of like a bucket list date. He was fun. But he totally identified in a way of you're very expressive when you dance. And like to him, he's like, clearly that's really attractive. And I was like, thank you, because I like being expressive. That says something about me. So he identified a part of who I am, not just, oh, you're cute. Thanks.
Yeah, there's no,
You know-
there's not much more to it.
Yeah.
I like it.
And so if you can identify little things, and girls know if you're trying to come up with something, we'll appreciate it either way. So if you're like, I really like, or your earrings are like really unique. You might be like stuttering the entire time saying that, but she's going to see that as like, okay, like
He's trying.
probably not the most
Yeah.
amazing compliment I've ever received, but I complimenting on things that people wear is actually a great thing because they made the choice that morning to decide this is how I want to represent myself today. And so it is kind of fun. So you are identifying a choice that they made and complimenting it, which can be sweet also, where it's like, you're pretty and like, thanks. Because a lot of people do try and they're the ones like, oh my gosh, thanks, give me all the affirmation. But other people don't really try and you're like, okay, cool, like I appreciate that, but I'm just existing. And we're in the same with men too. I love identifying things like a choice that they made. Actually, have you guys, I love complimenting men and their facial hair. Guys just love it because it's like this whole dude pride thing, and you're like, so if I say to someone like, you have a great beard, like, thank you for noticing. Like I groomed this thing down, like they don't tell me that, but I know to them it means a lot, and so it's kind of fun to just.
What do you think
stroke
about the
that a little
stash I've
bit.
been growing?
Oh, it's a wicked stash. No, it's great. I'm not.
No compliments though, just for the record.
What?
No
She
compliments.
just complimented
Oh,
you.
You said it was wicked.
I said it's a wicked stash.
Okay,
Yeah.
hell
Yeah.
I'll take that. As a
Yeah, I
compliment.
think it's a good stash.
Couple weeks under my belt here. No shave October coming into Movember, and not enough people
There we
know
go.
that about it. Like you got like Ty, you should be 3
Prepping
weeks in-
yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you're not gonna have any fun in November just trying to grow it out from November
Gain
1.
some momentum.
Yeah, you. Oh yeah, you got to get the ball. You get the ball rolling for a whole month. That way you come in on November 1st and people are like, oh, this guy's
I
participating.
was thinking about dyeing it. I dyed my mustache in high school. It was pretty wicked.
Oh my
Oh yeah,
goodness.
he'll dye it. He just ferments it every time.
Really?
Do you really? Oh, shoot.
I don't need to, but
Mm.
Oh, I need
you
to.
got to triple down
Yeah.
on what you're good
That's
at. So
amazing.
Yeah, fill the gaps.
that's what I'm doing.
But the shoot the shot method is,
Yeah.
you win some, you lose some. It's ebbs and
Mhm.
flows, strikes and gutters, ups and downs. It's an average quality of everyone at the end of the day. You're either good at it sometimes and other times not so good at it. At the end of the day, it's some people's average quality. Katie, I'd love to ask yours. What would your average quality be? And this is something that you probably might care about a lot and you don't see yourself there yet. And there's a variety of different ways of looking into it, but I'd like to ask you, what's your average quality?
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. And I brought my little notes. I would
Love it.
say 2 came to mind when I was thinking about this. One is time management. It's just really hard for me. Sometimes I'm great at it. And my personal joke with myself is that I go like, I'm very driven, which is great in a lot of ways, but I go like 300% and then I crash and burn for a little bit and then I get back on the horse and go 300%. So I just am struggling a little bit. Time management is an average quality, but also I would say my average quality would be being critical and overanalyzing. Sometimes it's an amazing thing to have, and I mean, I run my own company and I'm able to quite literally make a business off of critiquing things, which is great in some ways, and it's all out of love, but it definitely wreaks havoc in other areas of my life. And so I would say that is an average quality of
I
mine.
love that.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's awesome. How do you think? Because I run into that time management thing too all the
Okay.
time, and the crash and burn and the burnout per se is like one of those things that we can all relate to. But I'm wondering like what have been some of those things that keep you consistent and when like recognizing when you've maybe taken a fall. What are some of those things that are like, okay, if I can just focus on this, then my time management's good for the day.
Yeah, I'd say also as a life coach that I have a lot of tools.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know how to teach. Sometimes I don't always embody them, but I'm very selectively organized. So like, don't look at my car. There's a million things going on in there, but also I have a planner with me all the time and things like that. So I'm very organized in some ways, and that helps a lot to know what are my priorities. Take a look at the big picture, break it down into smaller picture things, and that helps with time management and prioritizing for the day. Things like that. And then when you do fall off the horse and you get sucked into social media for a couple hours or things that we've all been there, you know, and that's the doozy when you're like, oh, what did I really accomplish? But it was so entertaining. I don't know. Comedy videos on Facebook are my weakness. They just keep scrolling and like
Really?
Dry Bar Comedy. My weakness. They're so funny. And I'll be like, dang it, there was 2 hours of my life I'll never get back.
2
like,
hours.
yeah,
Wow.
it's bad. So those are my moments of weakness. But otherwise, I'm like on it with the planner and things like that. So,
Mhm.
mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's always interesting. I mean, those are everyone goes through all of that as well. I mean, I'm probably sitting on Instagram way too long before I go to bed trying to
I know.
quote unquote do my market research for a podcast. Yeah, not.
That's great.
That's always the excuse, though.
Yeah, I put that in my head. Yeah.
I'm working.
So time management's your average quality. What would be something you carry in your back pocket to overcome situations? This is when pressure becomes stress and your anxiety's rising, and you use this either habit or emotion or something you may actually carry in your back pocket or in your purse to overcome these situations.
Yeah, I love that question. I would say I kind of had two things. I know you guys hear faith a lot.
In multitude of ways. It's like
yeah.
faith and meditation and working out and actually practicing faith and going to church and stuff like that.
And I would say I'll even put a little bit of a skew on it and say godly confidence is something I like to keep in my back pocket. And so having just this abnormal confidence that is supported by faith and being like, hey, like Jesus conquered the world. I don't need to be afraid of anything because I have him inside me. And so that I would say is a big thing, is just having this oddly like just really strong confidence has been really effective in my life when push comes to shove a little bit, and just being bold and being in moments where I'm like, why am I being insecure right now? I'm okay, and just go for it, or things like that. And then another one, I have a hard time just picking things. So my other one I would say is my brutal honesty has been the thing for me to rely on, and it's honestly the foundation of my whole company, because all my life my guy friends and guys that I've dated and things like that have just been, above all else, they appreciate how brutally honest I am, and I will tell it absolutely how it is. I'm loving and I'm nice, but man, I will tell you what I'm thinking and being real, and I don't like faking things. I don't like games. I'm just totally honest the whole time, and it's been really beneficial.
I love that
in my life.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Both of those are phenomenal. Has there ever been a time where you've been brutally honest with yourself?
Ooh, yes. Big dramatic changes happened after that. I'm a pretty dramatic person, so I have like big emotions, and with that, yeah, I've had some real slaps in the face where I was like, what am I doing to other people? I'm a monster, all these things. And so actually so I was dating someone last winter, and one of the big kind of like blow up at the end that happened with me, I was reading this book actually called Boundaries. Highly recommend. It's by Henry something, and super good. But I was reading this, it was about how people break your boundaries and stuff like that, and I was like, oh my gosh, I am doing this to other people. I am the boundary breaker. And that just kind of wrecked me. Or I was like, wow, I have a real problem here, and we need to take a look at this. And so then I did, and ultimately a breakup had to come through that. But it was a big, hard moment, but it was absolutely needed. And the more I pretend I don't need to be honest with myself, it's not going to do any good.
What's the premise of that Boundaries book? I'm interested.
Oh, it's so good. You can actually buy it on my website. What is it? It's along the lines of knowing when to say no and how to prepare for the best yes kind of thing. And so the whole goal is knowing. The analogy he uses is you have a yard, your yard has a fence. It's a chain fence. So everybody else's stuff is in their yards, and you have the control and the power to choose what you let into your yard. Which is like it's a little funky, but you also have a gate. So you get to choose who you open up the gate to, but you don't have to let everybody else's junk from their life come into your yard. You get to control your yard. And that's how, like, those are your boundaries. This is your space. And so many of us, especially as naturally loving and giving people, we have really weak fences or no fences at all. So they're like, everybody's junk is in my yard all the time. And then we feel the pressure of other people's things. We get sucked into other people's problems and stuff. And really, it's not a two-way street, and it's not a healthy exchange that's going on. I recommend it. It's an amazing book.
Yeah. Sounds awesome.
And they have Boundaries for Dating, which is also a really good one that I'm still studying a little bit. So stay tuned.
No, I'm excited. This is definitely one of those like reoccurring podcast guests. Because we need to make sure that we're held accountable.
There we go.
That we see. We want to update you on our progress, because there will be attempts like we're having this next Wednesday, and we can fill you in on that. So that's good stuff.
So excited.
Mm-hmm. And that's going to be a challenge for Deck, and I'm excited to see how he responds to that.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see how I do in the back.
I'm so excited. I wish I could. Yeah. No, I don't wish I could be here.
Andrew's got to do it eventually too.
Yeah.
Speaking of two-way streets.
Yeah. We'll see how that goes. But we'd like to challenge ourselves on the back pocket and tap into more of Katie Sir and Maybe there's someone out there that you feel would be a good fit for the Back Pocket. So who do you think should come on our show next?
Okay, you guys. So,
I feel like you have a list of
I do
people.
have a list, and I know you definitely don't feel pressure to like get all these people, but some of them are like relationship people that I'm like, oh, these are awesome. Otherwise, are just people I think you guys would really, really enjoy to have on here.
Awesome.
I feel like the ultimate, so relationship wise, like the GOAT, the best of the best is Matthew Hussey, and he's the best relationship expert in the world, and he's just like so cool. So if that was like an ultimate goal, that'd be super dope.
Is he local?
No, he's British.
Okay.
But he lives in like LA, so he's a big deal. He's a really big deal, but he's cool.
Matthew Hussey.
Matthew Hussey.
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 Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So he's awesome. And then otherwise, okay, I'll just kind of like read you my list. So, well, Kevin Crenshaw, he's the heart guy, and we actually might know some similar people. He lives in LA now, but
The heart guy.
and he
do
is
you mean
also
by that?
really interesting, kind of dating coach of sorts. And really focuses on healing yourself before you can accept someone else, kind of thing, which is really cool. Another person within the same category, his name's Eddie Burstash or whatever his last name is, but his Instagram is Eddie Evolves. I'll send you all this stuff. But he is really cool, and he's a friend I met recently through networking, and he's a life coach that works mainly with men and men with past traumas and stuff. And it's like super juicy stuff, and all of the things it is, because he's all about changing the culture of masculinity and things like that. Really good.
Yeah,
So he's just really cool. And then okay, her name's Meredith Newman, and she's not dating coach related at all, but I met her at a recent networking event, and she's really, really, really cool. Her company's called Scaling Within, and she's local and does a lot of cool. She was actually just at TC Startup Week and things like that. And her whole thing is somehow helping business owners and executives have the internal capacity to get bigger and get like accept the goals that they want to receive. And she's really cool. So recommend her.
Meredith Newman.
Yes.
Okay.
And then my last two are family members of mine. My sister, Mickey Spear. She's married, so we have different last name now. But she's a songwriter, and I don't know if you guys met her at Lincoln Drink. She asked that question. She was the one.
Yes.
Yeah, she's really cool. We're just very close, but also she's getting really big in the songwriting community in Minneapolis, and has worked with some really cool artists from different ranges. So some are jazz, some are pop artists, things like that. And so she just has a cool story too. And last one that I think you guys will really like, my cousin Steve Sir, is kind of so the Sir fan. We take the surname very seriously, you guys. Like, we love Sirs, and so he's kind of the pride and joy of the Sir family. But we have over 30 cousins just on the Sir side, so we're a big family.
Big family.
Charlie
Sirs.
being one of them.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay.
totally.
Sweet.
So we're pretty close. It's kind of fun. But so our cousin Steve is super cool, and he's a basketball player. They live in Canada. And my uncle runs like Basketball Alberta and things like that. So they're like really big deals in the basketball world in Canada.
Especially
and
in
stuff.
Alberta.
Especially in Alberta.
We
but
know some people from Alberta.
Do
Yeah,
you?
we have an odd presence
We
in
have
Alberta.
Really?
We've had 3
Yeah.
people on the podcast
Get
from
out.
Alberta.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sweet. Add them to it. But no, so basically Steve's played professionally in Europe for years and years and things like that. And he's really big in the 3-on-3 scene now. And they just won my dad just told me they won the 3-on-3 tournament for international whatever. And basically they're in the running to, might be in the Olympics, win with the first 3-on-3 basketball coming to the Olympics. They've kind of had started
really?
all of that. So they're really awesome, and they're playing in Japan and yada yada. So he's just really cool and has an awesome story. He's 37. He's the
And
oldest.
he's just balling.
He's just killing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's,
Very
and I just
cool.
feel like you guys would just also just like him,
Yeah.
but not dating related at all. So that's kind of,
Okay.
sorry, that's my whole list. Take that as you will. But they're
That's
just really cool
phenomenal.
people.
Awesome.
All the above.
I
Challenge
love that.
accepted across
Sweet.
the board. Thank you.
We'll go get them all. We'll just start a whole podcast around getting those people.
Yeah.
Totally.
Just finish with Steve.
Yeah.
But this is usually a time where we like to take the time and just pat ourselves on the back. Hell of a podcast. You crushed it.
Yeah.
You brought the energy.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Nice
Good
job,
work.
you guys.
No, not congratulations
Oh,
to you.
oh,
You
oh.
crushed.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. I think
But
you
we
did a
also,
great job,
I mean,
too.
but no, we also ask great questions. So there's
Yeah.
that as well. But we'd like to open the door for you if you had any questions for us.
All right, I do, but also I don't want to cut me off whenever you need time, because we know I'm a chatterbox too.
Fire away.
And feel free to not answer all of these if you don't want to, because a lot of these are public too. But I'm a dating coach, and I'm
Yeah.
very curious. I'm not going to be like Khadija. She was hilarious, but we're not going that direction.
Khadija was awesome.
Khadija
She's
was
awesome.
awesome.
I'll be on her podcast actually in a couple weeks, which is
Sweet.
really fun.
What?
Yeah,
No way.
she's so cool. But some of these we talked about a little bit. But one of the things I'm curious about with you is you guys have a little bit of a different social standing now. Do you feel like because you're a little more public with being podcasters and being well known and stuff around our age in the Twin Cities and stuff? Do you feel that? So my question is, do you feel the need or pressure to blend into a certain social category?
Whoa, it's heavy.
Social category.
I feel like I have a want sometimes to put myself in that box. So like I do stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
And I do this podcast. A lot of the people I look up to do those very same things as like full-time like movie star type people like Theo Von or Joe Rogan or Chris D'Elia. So like a lot of the things or content that I'm digesting or associating myself with is just a lot of like tomfoolery and like comedy, making people laugh, like being an Energizer Bunny type thing. So yeah, I would say I would naturally like assimilate and think about what I want to do in that light. However, I really have to ground myself sometimes because it's like while I do want to be like the comedy podcaster someday, I know that like I can't act that way in like a corporate setting 100% of the time, or like around my family or all these different settings that I'm in. That's not exactly where I want to be.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
That's legit.
Do you feel that same way? I'm not in the same way, but
from the back pocket stance, I mean, there's people that come up to us and be like, you guys are doing awesome things and like we love what you're doing, and that's like the most rewarding thing ever. And I think Deck and I do a great job of just being like, hey, we're just doing what we love. Yeah. And it just so happens that we're seeing a little bit of success, but we're by no means like in this realm to even think about some like
being on a pedestal.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if anyone tries to put us on a pedestal, we'll be the first one like, please don't. Like that's
not really.
Someone told us the other day, like, you guys really picked a lane and you're killing it. And we looked at each other like, oh, wow. Did we?
Yeah,
did we pick a lane?
Yeah. Someone, she said that we picked the niche of like we're very holistic people.
Ooh.
And like we have an audience of people that are like wanting to be holistic, which I was like, that's very cool, but what is holistic?
Yeah, yeah.
It was like really cool to hear someone that they like perceive us as like kind of in your lane, where it's like a holistic health life coach almost, where it's like I didn't even think about. Yeah. I'm just like living my life being kind of a goofball. So I guess that works. Like Andrew said, just be yourself.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and probably to help explain a little bit too. So under the umbrella of holistic, we in the holistic world, which most of us are, is just kind of means being well-rounded and being understanding that a lot of things are connected. So that's why my company, my position works, is because I do believe if your health is bad and you're not taking care of yourself, that's absolutely going to affect your dating life and how you interact with others and your self-confidence. So I think holistically it is all connected. Yeah. And so that's a really neat thing for them to say about you too, because you do believe all of that it's all connected, and you guys don't have the one box that you fit in. You only interview these type of people. You have a really wide range, which I think is neat.
So maybe holistic is the right word.
Yeah. I like it. Take it around with it.
Sweet.
I like it.
Any more questions?
Okay, yes. I do. And you can maybe pick one of these to answer. To give you guys a little bit of public cred, do you know like your type or who you're kind of looking for in life? And it's okay if you don't know it because you really haven't dated all that much yet. But does something come to mind with that? Maybe I'll just leave that as question option number 1. And then question option number 2 would be, what are your deal breakers? Do you have any?
Oh man.
And Tyler, you can answer this too.
Phenomenal questions.
Type. I just don't like. Type is tough because I'm just like.
Or certain qualities that you really look for.
I gotta say they gotta be outgoing. Like I have a lot of energy. I'm a big ego person. I'd like to put myself out there. I don't think I could be compatible with someone who's extremely introverted. But I mean, if they're introverted and have the ability to just get wild, then sure. That wasn't a great way to say it.
Yeah.
But
shit, where we just go?
Did you mean
shit,
freaky?
Freaky. Dude. If they want to just be felines together.
Oh my gosh.
Just a couple of cats, dude.
Going to the moon.
God, I don't know. Like that's the thing. I feel like I can hold a conversation with just about anyone at this point, and
But they need to be able to hang and hold a conversation.
Yeah, and it's kind of shitty to say that though, right? Because I don't want to like discount anyone, but it was funny because I said on the Carly Zucker podcast how I want to find someone who completes me, and Carly was like, "You're dead wrong. You are completed. You need to find someone to add to your life."
Yes.
And I've flipped a switch since then
Ooh.
of like, I do all these things. I have a lot of things that I already really, really like to do. I'm not necessarily looking for a type, and I don't really have anything that's going to deal break me.
Okay.
What I really have, or what I really want to look for and keep my eyes peeled, like you're saying, at the grocery store,
Yeah.
is like, who's that someone that I could just add to my life,
Mm.
where like they would want to hop on the Decky roller coaster ride, and wherever that shit goes,
Yeah.
they're on board because they see value in it.
I love that.
So
Very
that's
cool.
kind of where my mindset is.
I love that. And I think too, it's not two halves equal a whole. It's two wholes equal a pair.
Ooh.
So you need to have two healthy pairs of or two healthy socks to have a pair of socks. Two fully functioning shoes in order to have a successful pair of shoes. So you can't have half a shoe.
I like it.
It's kind of my fun analogy,
Yeah.
but that's a spot on. I love that.
Thank
Great
you.
perspective.
Thank you.
That is a great answer. I'm gonna go a different route.
Here we go. Good.
I'm a small little bird with a broken wing, and I'm on the mend, so I can't answer that question. I'm on the rise. I mean, I think my ankle is like at 85% after taking a 10-foot spill. So there's a lot of different ways I could have taken that, and that's the way I went. Silence.
Meaning that there's also a lot of healing that needs to take place before you can be in
Yes.
a position to awesome.
In many ways.
We can
Physically,
totally work together
emotionally.
if you'd like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's still trying to figure himself out.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
I mean, aren't we all? That's
Mhm.
kind of the journey.
Yeah. But
Um,
that's the other thing too. Like I was probably in that position for a long time. Like the people call me spineless, and I still am spineless. That's without doubt.
What do you mean by that?
I just like it's really like it goes back to like the not care mentality, and like
Okay.
when I was in relationships, I just really wouldn't care a lot about certain things, which would heighten the emotion of my significant other, which wasn't good.
Yeah. So I would say I might need to clarify that then. It's not don't care about things, because you absolutely need to have a backbone, and that's really attractive to be able to like have opinions and strong stances and
Yeah.
things like that. So
No, yeah, and it wasn't.
okay.
So I guess I shouldn't have said didn't care, but I just have a very low, or I'm very low maintenance. I should
Oh
say.
sure. Okay.
So it
okay.
would come off most times that I don't care,
Gotcha.
because I don't think a lot of stuff either. And when I don't think about them, they don't become big deals. When girls think about things and they become big deals.
Absolutely.
So I don't
Good
know.
luck
There's
with
been this process of like kind of my goal now, like, and it really picked up when we were talking earlier about like me thinking in the mind of this blind date girl coming over, like I'm thinking about how she could be comfortable in this situation, rather than just like me being super excited about the content we're gonna be grabbing for the podcast.
Totally, that's good.
Like I could easily spend the next 48 hours thinking about that, but like I know now that that's probably not a good idea. So going forward, that's because I've already went down that route and like tried to dive in my own rabbit hole to figure that out. I feel like now I have the ability to like change my perspective a little bit.
Love that.
Yeah.
Very good. Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for asking that, Katie.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think this brings us to our final question.
Final question.
What did you learn today from the moment that you woke up to when we're having this conversation?
So I think I've learned, I really valued this conversation in general, and it's fun because I know I've known the bits and pieces of this, but as I continue to meet more people, it's just validating to continue to learn that you can't judge a book by its cover, and also that so many people do fall into what I would call my target market of being the never really dated 20-somethings, and how easy it is to assume things about people and judge and expect that people have certain life experiences when we all come from different backgrounds. So I would say I keep learning that over and over again, and I enjoy every time that I learn it a new time. So I'd say I learned that again today.
Awesome.
Dude, I love it. Thanks, Katie. Appreciate you.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you guys. It's been a treat.
Well, I've been hanging on the west coast of my heart, right where I'm meant to from the start. It's so much warmer than the secrets you've been holding in. And don't you look at me sideways with those eyes.